Good morning. I need everyone to let me know if they can hear me all right. Pretty please. Good morning. I need everyone to let me know if they can hear me all right. Pretty please. Good morning. I need everyone to let me know if they can hear me all right. Pretty please. Okay, we're gonna get started in 1 minute. I don't know who's all there, but I'm excited to see you. Oh no. Very quietly? Okay. Guys, can you hear me now? If I speak nice and loud? Ooh, this is the longest minute ever. Okay. Well, it is 10 a.m. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday. It's webinar day. Well, not every Thursday is webinar day, but I'm super excited for today's webinar because it's about how to publish your book. If you can hear me, please let me know. Let's get all technical issues out of the way right now so that I don't go crazy. Please let me know. Let's just make sure we're good. Just gonna throw this. Okay. Hi. All right. I'm so glad. Okay, people are hearing. All good here. Excellent. All right. Well, it's 10:01. So it's time to get started. Now, okay. We all know about webinars, and they can be super fun and they can be super dry. I'm gonna make this really dry. Just kidding. It's gonna be fun. So let's get started. I'll go slowly with the intro so that we leave people a little bit of space to join us. But I'm really excited about today. So thank you. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. All right. So I'm Sheena Blake. I'm the CEO of Discovering Diversity Publishing. We also call it DDP, which is a cute little acronym for Discovering Diversity Publishing, of course. I absolutely adore what I do, and I love giving people an opportunity to know more about the publishing process because publishing in 2017 is different than it ever has been before. It's also extremely cool and fun. I think it really provides a lot more opportunity for people to learn a great deal of things. In this world now, we're global. So it's super duper exciting. All right, I know that I'm cheesy. You guys can let me know. I get it. So if you are someone who happens to be curious about the self-publishing process or anxious or overwhelmed by the entire thing, this webinar is definitely for you. Even if you have little or no experience publishing, I'm going to walk you through some steps that will make this a lot more efficient for you and gentle in the process so that you don't feel so overwhelmed. It'll also help you eliminate some errors that plague a lot of new indie authors and a lot of authors who just get stuck in the nitty-grittiness of it all. So in this webinar, you're going to learn a few things. The first thing is how you can get your manuscript ready for editing and find an editor. Second thing is what tools you can use to format your ebook or your paperback. Third thing is where you can find excellent graphics for your front cover. Fourth thing is which platforms work best for your publishing goals. Fifth thing, how to publish your book on Kindle. And the sixth thing, a step-by-step how to market your book and launch and get your first reviews. Okay, so now we have that intro. You know, I realize how nerdy I can be with intros and things like that, but before I actually get started in the content, I want to say a couple things. So if you're here with me and we're making perfect eye contact, I can't really see you, but I can feel that you're there. I need you to grab your pen and paper or whatever it is that you're writing on. That was me typing. If that's what you're doing, that's fine. I need you to take about 10 seconds. You've already been thinking about this for a little while, I'm sure. But I need you to write down your goal for your book. If you haven't written it, that's fine. If you've already written it, that's fine. I'm going to give you about 10-15 seconds to write down your goal. The first thing that pops into your mind is the thing that is truest to your soul that you want to do. So whether it is you want to sell 1,000,000 copies and make $1 trillion, or, well, that's a really expensive book, or if you want to change the world, or if you want to help women overcome certain indiscrepancies in their world, whatever it is, I need you to write it down. I'm going to give you 10 seconds right now, okay? Okay. I know that seemed like a short amount of time, and I do encourage you to revisit that goal. But now that you've set it, you've set your intention kind of for the rest of this hour. We don't have a whole lot of time, and there's quite a bit of content to go through, but that's no big deal. Take it easy. We're going to flow through this really gently, and you're going to grab some information for yourself that can help you really change the way that you see your writing process. Okay? Let's get started. Now, one of the things I find really interesting is the way that humans use words. Sometimes we can get all pretentious and think things are more important than the other, but they're not. If I'm using a word that you don't know or don't understand, please stop me. Please type in our little box and let us know that a word isn't making sense to you. That is no problem. Language is definitely a fluid idea, and not everybody grabs everything. So while we're starting, I want to go over the term manuscript because I had mentioned it earlier. The term manuscript is all about your book. Now, when I say manuscript and editing, people kind of get like, all manuscript is what you've written out. It's your book. It's your idea. It's your thing on paper or not paper, online. That's fine. If you happen to have already written your book and you wrote it by hand, I want you to take some time over the next week and type it out. It's really important. This process will change everything. Although I adore handwriting and it's how I start everything that I do, you're going to want to transfer it over. That will take you some time, but it will also help you in the editing process. So now we're on the topic of editing. Let's talk about it. There's two styles of editing. There's two ways to edit your work. The first way is content editing, and it is exactly as it sounds, content. Are there any major discrepancies or serious issues that are incorrect in your work? When you're going through your manuscript, when you're going through your body of writing, do things actually make sense? Now, I say this, and I think most people don't really relate to the idea. They think, no, I definitely make sense. I'm encouraging you to look at it a little bit more critically. And remember that as a writer, as an author, as a human, we tend to have blinders onto our own ideas because what makes sense to me may not make sense to you. This is why the editing process is crucial to have other people involved. Now, if you've been following me for a little while, you know that I'm big on hiring an editor. I do think that trading time and money is important when it comes to certain types of work because people will spend more time on it. Now, you can have family and friends do that work for you. If you happen to have family and friends in your world who are extremely supportive like that, it's a great idea. But if you also happen to have people in your world that may not have the time to do that, find yourself a really good quality editor who will spend time with you on making sure that your work says what you want it to say. Okay, so content editing, if you're writing this down, if not, hold it inside your brain. It's all about, does my book make sense? Am I making statements that are true? If you happen to be writing a memoir, not to worry. You're going to want to be thinking about how to express yourself appropriately, not to talk about anyone else in their world or make other people look bad. But if you happen to be writing, say, a comic book or a children's book, consistency is crucial. The content editing process I adore because it's where your ideas are coming from and how you're putting them all together. Now, sometimes if you happen to be a children's book writer, a comic book writer, a fiction writer, any kind of writer, any genre, you're going to want to take your book into pieces so that you can really almost make a storyboard out of it and make sense of it. This you do for yourself. This is a wonderful process and it helps you to get to know who you are. The other piece that's critical to me, or little tip, is showing in your work rather than telling. Now I say that and people always wonder, like, what do you actually mean? I'll tell you because I can't hear you. What I mean by showing is giving an example of how your character, if you are your character, or if you actually have a fictional character, does something. So if you want to say that Sheena Sheena was so excited to perform in her webinar, you could say that. Or it's also really important that you say something like, Sheena waited by her computer with anxious anticipation. She was so excited she couldn't stop tapping her pencil, and everyone around her was wondering what was happening next. Do you notice how I developed myself a little bit more? The development of your characters, whether it's you or fictional, is crucial because it helps your reader get to know who you are and what you're really trying to do. Remember, living beings are not one-dimensional. They cannot be. So when you are a storyteller, you need to build the dimensions of the beings in your book, even if you're talking about rocks. Okay, the next part of editing, part 2, is all about copy editing. This part is kind of cheesy. Not really cheesy. It's super, super, super important. It's all about punctuation and grammar. Now, most people roll their eyes when I talk about punctuation and grammar. I happen to be a super nerd when it comes to punctuation and grammar. I still make lots of mistakes, but commas and semicolons are super important to me. As an editor in 2017, I am enthralled at the idea of how people utilize punctuation and grammar to actually express themselves differently than ever before. So while you're using and remembering about coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions, editor terms, super nerdy, I know, you don't have to know those. Stay tuned for discoveringdiversitypublishing.com. When you go on our website on Thursdays, we will have Punctuation Thursdays. They're super fun, and you'll learn little tips on punctuation and grammar, how to use colons, how to use semicolons, how to use commas, how to put together a proper sentence. But these things are, if you're not super interested in that part, that's where you'll want to hire an editor. Now, in 2017, there's this thing. We call it Google. I know that was super rude. I'm sorry. Sometimes I'm sarcastic. I'm getting better at it. Calvin, do you see? If you go on Google, you can find yourself some editors, but here's the thing, you're going to want to do some vetting. You're going to want to know what type of work they've worked on before, and you're going to want to get to know them sort of as a person. This is a very personal endeavor. editing, because it's kind of like when you first get your house cleaned. If anyone here has ever hired a person to come in and clean their home, I, for one, happen to clean my home before they get here, which is actually really silly. I know, but there's a strange insecurity when it comes to someone seeing your inner workings. Your writing is your inner working, and it feels crazy uncomfortable at times to think of someone else joining you in that process. So, copy editing, clean up your stuff as much as you can so that you can feel comfortable sending it away to someone. Find yourself an editor. Of course, you can always find us at discoveringdiversitypublishing.com. We're very serious about that. But find yourself and vet someone that will support you in the process. Writing a book is not an easy thing, and if you've done it, I'm so proud of you. And if you're thinking about it, I am so proud of you. It is a wonderful, wonderful process. Okay, so we've talked about the editing process. We've talked about content editing and copy editing. So those two things will help your manuscript get ready to go further on in the process. Are you ready? Please make sure you stay tuned to discoveringdiversitypublishing.com. It's important to us to continue to provide you the things that you need to learn more about the publishing process, about the self-publishing process. So continue to join us. And make sure you're putting your questions in the box. I will certainly leave room for any questions. Keep me posted, okay, guys? All right. So what's up next? Now that you've edited your book, you've copy edited it, and you've content edited it. Wow. Okay, that sounds funnier than it should. It's time to get ready to format. Now, if you happen to be a graphic designer, that's super fantastic. If you don't happen to be a graphic designer, that's also okay. Formatting is all about putting your book in a way that we can actually read it when we put it in ebook or print, like when you actually get a physical copy of a book in your hand, like this one. This is, oh, I live in my books way too much, I think. So that's where we get ready to really put it together. Now, people always wonder, oh, this must be like a crazy, grueling process. It's really not so crazy after all. You can certainly begin to format your work in MS Word, Microsoft Word, which is probably the most simple and easy way for most people to actually work through it. If you happen to be a Mac user, MS tends to be a little bit tricky for you. It does a lot of crashing, but you can certainly do it. Just be patient with yourself. So there's also a number of other tools to use for the formatting process, whether it's for ebooks or for printing. But the formatting is always about, like I said, what it really looks like when it's all ready to go, right? When the words are on the page. The most simple one, of course, is Microsoft Word, but I'm going to give you a few others that you can look at so that you're aware. You can use things like Scriver. It's about $45 American. And it's a cool one. It's pretty easy to use. It's made for writers by writers. So the process happens to be a little bit more simple. But if you are not really tech savvy, it can be a little bit complicated, but it is definitely a very helpful tool. I do encourage you to look up those literal step-by-steps. We don't have time to do that in today's webinar, the actual step-by-steps, but we will get you something together later on, the actual step-by-steps of each of these little pieces of the process. But this is the best way for you to really figure out what's out there for you to begin getting your book formatted in a way that's ready for ebook or print. Word, as we said, is super trusty and really reliable. It's also really easy to use. Scriver is also easy to use. Scrivener, I'm very sorry, is also very easy to use, but it is a $45 American process. So take a look into it, find out. The other thing about Scrivener that, that I really appreciate is that there's tech support. So with MS Word, you can of course go to YouTube and you can YouTube the step-by-steps, and that part is critical and it really makes a big difference. It's also super time consuming. So if you don't have a lot of time and it's not something that you really want to sit and actually learn how to do, you can go to download Scrivener and use that software, but you can also have their tech support help you out through the process. It makes a really big difference. In 2017, we're very used to things being online. I do feel the pendulum is beginning to shift and come back to the middle where we really require human interaction. So when there is software and programs that offer you personal support from a person, from a human, it really, really makes a big difference. And if you're keeping in mind that goal we just talked about at the beginning of the webinar, this formatting process is affected by your goal. So remember, if you want to sell 1 million copies, you're going to want to get your book formatted professionally so that it looks really well. So you're going to want to be consistent, of course, with the ways that you style the inside of your books. Be mindful of the style of your font, the size of your font, and the ways that you put together each of your chapters. Thank you. You can also go on Google Docs. Google Docs is a super cool, super easy way of sharing content and information. I very much appreciate Google Docs. It happens to be free. It is relatively simple to format in Google Docs. You never have to save it, and if you are a writer in any sense of the word, or if you've ever been to school in the last 20 years, you know how terrible it feels when you lose your work. I can actually remember my OAC year losing like my biggest paper. I lost my mind. This is before computers were really cool, actually, so that was a long time ago. But if you use Google Docs, you'll realize that you don't have to worry about that as much anymore, and it actually provides a lot of stress relief. So it's a nice, easy way to be formatting your work in Google Docs. But there are other types of software like Evernote, which is free. You could use Pages, which is $28. You can use it on a Mac, $28 American. Fast Pencil, Focuswriter, which is free. There are tons. You can find them online anywhere. But what you really are looking for is, if you want to be doing it yourself, find out if the software that you're using is cost effective for you, and if you are provided with support that will get you through the process of formatting your book. You're also going to want to go back to your editor or someone else in your world and make sure that it's looking the way that you want to be expressing yourself. Now, when I say that, everyone thinks it's a little bit silly, but it's not. You make sense in your own brain. I make sense in my own brain, but it doesn't always make sense for everyone. This is why, back again, the editing process is essential. The way that you style the inside of your book makes all the difference. And please bear in mind that the way that you format your ebook will be slightly different than the way you format your paperback, because there are different ways of expressing. Online formatting, of course, isn't read the same way we read things by paperback, so you're going to want to be very mindful of that. This is the very reason why it's important to have support when you're doing this level of the publishing. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about like getting your format ready. So we've edited our books. They're looking really good. They're saying what we want to say. We don't sound as crazy as we did before we edited them. Now we've got them looking really cool and formatted. And now we're like, everyone judges a book by its cover, even though our parents say not to. Okay? I tell my kids that all the time, but they certainly, thank you for telling it's Scrivener. My apologies. I get ahead of myself sometimes. So the front cover is essential and really, really crucial to the way people receive your work. Now, you can go online and find yourself tons and tons of people who do professional design, cover design. That's fantastic. You can also do it yourself. There's a lot of one of the favorite things people like to do when they've written a memoir or any type of book is use their own picture on the front cover. This is actually really cool, and I think in 2017, especially if you use your book as your calling card for any type of professional work, it's really great. Now, here's the thing. No cell phone pictures, okay? They don't print well. And if you happen to be wanting to make sure that your book prints, do not send anyone your cell phone pictures. If you are working with a group of people who are mindful of your process, they will tell you that those pictures don't work. Others will not, and they'll print off something that sort of looks too pixelated for you to enjoy and want to spend your money on. Okay, does that make sense? So you'll want to take pictures with at least 360 dpi. It's very important so that people can be able to receive what you're sending. Okay. This part is my favorite, the design process. You can, of course, do it in Canva. If you know about Canva, Canva's a really simple new tool that people are using. It's free, it's fun, you can find some cool designs on there. It's less professional looking, but I still find that people can do a great job. Be very mindful of it when it comes to print, though. If you're using your own picture, you can go on and find yourself some free photo. Oh my goodness, my mind just went blank. You want some photo pictures that are free. So, sorry guys. I don't know. Is it Thursday? Is that a Thursday thing? Maybe. But Pixabay happens to be one of my favorites. That's Pixabay. Photo stock images. They're free photo stock images. There's tons online. Photographers that take cool pictures that you can use for free. So these are the ones that you're like, you can get very excited about because when you type in your keywords, which we're going to get to later, that are insanely crucial to anything to do with marketing, you're going to want to use an image that will actually describe what your book is going to be about. And if it doesn't actually describe, maybe it's just something that is really catchy that catches your eye. You can, of course, keep up with the trends. In 2016, yellow and green book covers were extremely exciting. But I do think that in 2017, it's important that people actually follow their own trends while matching the trends of what's going on in the market right now. So if you're designing your own cover and you want a free stock image, grab one of those, but make sure that when you put your title on your book and you put your name on your book, that it's saying the things that you want it to say. You can also do this in Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. Be very mindful because when you get to your front cover design is always a fun part. You will move into the part where you have to design this part of your book, okay? This part is interesting and fun. You're going to want to know your dimensions really, really well. That's the part that tricks most people and is the trickiest part when you happen to be self-publishing on some platforms where you're doing it all yourself. So be mindful of your dimensions, take your time, and make sure it looks the way that you want it to look. Remember, you cannot get your book into any major bookstore without writing on the spine. There needs to be writing on the spine. Lesson I learned a very long time ago, early in my career, where I thought I'd be clever and unique not to write down the spine because everyone does. But you cannot actually get your book into any major retail store without writing on the spine. So that's something great to keep in mind. Now, the back cover is also important. People like to put their pictures on the back cover. I'm cool with all of it. I think that all of it really makes a great deal of sense. If you want to be having people see who you are, especially if you use your book as your calling card professionally, your image on the back will be very, very important. Make it you. I think that we sort of swung away from having everything be extremely professional to knowing that what is professional. We sort of stepped into that new category, which is very exciting to me because now everybody can step into the arena with in feeling a lot more comfortable and proud of themselves. So like I said, you're going to need to be very mindful of image quality. No cell phone images. I know your i6, i7, i39 takes really, really good pictures, but unless the DPIs are really, really high, you're going to want to take something with a professional camera, even if it's a professional photographer that takes it for you. Okay. Also, if you don't want to use your own and you want to have something graphically done, and you're not a graphic designer, you can certainly find us discoveringdiversitypublishing.com. We have graphic designers that can help you design your front cover, or you can go online and find all types of people who will help you to graphically design, I love words, the way that your cover looks. We've seen some really cool ones where they're cartoon, but the book is not cartoon. It's 2017 and you really can do anything that you want. This is the beautiful part of self-publishing. This is the beautiful part about creating your own arena. Okay, so now that we have our goal in mind, right? And we've edited our book, both content and copy editing, sorry, and we formatted our book, and we've also designed our front cover, made sure that our spine is looking well and our dimensions are appropriate and our back cover is totally ready. We found our ISBN number and barcode, which we'll get to briefly when we start talking about our platforms. We are ready to choose our platform. Now, do you remember that I asked you to have a goal in mind for your book and we took 10 seconds to do it? This is where that goal is really going to keep pushing you in your face. Because the question now is, which platform is going to be best for you to self-publish your book? I'll ask you again. Which platform will be best for you to self-publish your work? You're like, Sheena, I don't know any self-publishing platforms, so I don't know which one is best. That's fine. I'm going to share some with you. But I want you to be thinking about these questions. And because you don't know what you don't know, neither do I, it's important that you start remembering that you don't know what you don't know. That's what the learning process is all about. And with your first book, because you will write many, with your first book, you need to get all of these little idiosyncrasies out of the way. It's the most fun part. You might mess up, and if you do, I need you to call me, cry your eyes out, and we'll move on. Got it? Okay. So we're ready to publish. There are three primary platforms that everyone sort of knows about. There's Amazon's Kindle. We all know about that. There's Barnes & Noble's Nook. Most of us know about that. And Apple's iBooks. Those are our big contenders. We typically all know about them. Amazon also has CreateSpace, their print-on-demand publishing, where all you simply have to do is upload your work and you can send a message and say, I want to buy 5 copies of my book, and they will make it cost effective for you to print and bring your book to you, have it shipped directly to your house. Some of the things to be mindful of is print quality and cost of shipping. Those are the things to be mindful of. If you are joining us from Canada, those are the things to be very, very mindful of. If you're joining us from other parts of the world, it's also important to be mindful. Shipping is a very interesting part of your process. So remember, when you're shipping 500,000 books, if that happened to be your goal, you have to remember that it's going to cost you money to ship. So you're going to make your decisions based on your publishing decisions, based on all of those little pieces. There's lots of pieces to the self-publishing puzzle. There's lots of pieces. And so we're sort of debunking them all here. And if you have any questions at all, please follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and we can discuss more if I've missed anything. And please ask your questions in the comment box. So we've looked at Amazon's Kindle, but right now I really want to talk about the fact that there are more than just those ones, more than Kindle, Nook, and iBooks for you to be looking at. I'm going to remind you again that you happen to have a goal in mind. So you're going to want to use keywords to describe your book, because the more that people know about your book, the more they might want to buy your book. Keywords, when it comes to anything with publishing and letting people know in the social world, which happens to be global, by the way, will attract more people that are vibrating on your frequency. That's Sheena lingo for they're thinking the way that you're thinking. You also have Kobo's ebooks, if you're just thinking of doing solely ebooks, you could do it on Kobo. There's Draft to Digital, which is ebook. And in Canada, at like Canadian publishers, there is Telwell, who does print and ebook. They're also a really amazing company, so check them out. These are all the major contenders, and they get people a lot of notice. There's tons of books on their sites, and they're important to be aware of. They're also really simple and easy to use. So we're going to go through step by step of how to publish your book on Kindle. Kindle is a really cool tool, and it gets people really excited. It also, for those of you who happen to have a book out already, it gives you notoriety. It makes people feel like, wow, you're like really accomplished to have it on there. And it's actually really, really easy. Shh, don't tell them that. They don't need to know. This process is actually really simple. So let's quickly look at that. So you're going to want to sign into your kdp.amazon.com. That's kdp.amazon.com. Register yourself and get yourself inundated with them and what they're doing. And then you're going to register your tax information. If you don't keep good notes on your tax information, just go find all of the information out. It shouldn't take you a long time. It's very step by step when you get online. It's very clear and it's very simple. So you're going to enter in your tax information. This is so that Kindle can keep track of who you are and your selling process, how you sell, who you sell to, why. Also so that they don't get any trouble on their end. The next part you're going to do is click Bookshelf and choose Add a New Title. That's where you're going to add your title. Remember, earlier on when we were talking about your manuscript or your book, give your book a fantastic title. Give it something that leaves room for discussion. If you are excited about your title and you're not sure if anyone else is, utilize your social media platforms. Now, I keep going back to your goals, right? And all of this time, we haven't talked about marketing. But marketing is something that you're going to be doing throughout the entire process, from the beginning to the end, and there really is no end. So from the beginning until that continual cycle continues to move. You will have, when you're putting things in Facebook, ask questions like, what do you guys think of this title? And put it in. Your followers will say something to you. That's the best part of self-publishing. You can actually engage lots of people in your process. As I mentioned before, there will be people who don't like your book. That is not your business. You have your goal, and it's okay that they don't like it. And if they call you and tell you that they don't, call me. Find me at the website, call me, and we can talk about it. And you can cry for a minute, and we'll move on. Because you didn't write your book for everyone. You wrote your book for some specific people. No one believes me when I say that, but you do have your niche market that is going to be really, really interested in what you have to say. And there will also be a market that is not. You're not worried about them. Make sure you stay focused on your goal and what you really want to be accomplishing with your book. Okay, so you've put your, that was a really long tangent, sorry guys. You've put your book in, your new title. Now you want to fill out everything necessary with your book. That's all your dimensions, your word count, your page count. You'll know all of this after you've completed formatting your book. And you'll know all of this when everything is said and done. If this is lots for you, hire a professional. There are people who do this every day, all day, and through the night. I know our team does. So if this is a lot for you and it's not something you really want to be doing, you can simply hire a professional. But if it's something that is part of your personal process, get into it, sit with it, call for help if you need it, and keep going. Okay, so now that you've entered everything that's necessary and you're all excited, it's finally time to upload your book and your front cover. Whoa! Like, we're really doing this, okay? We're on Kindle, we're ready. People are going to know about your book. I am so excited. Please, guys, don't be afraid to ask for help. This is the best part. Well, I don't know if it's the best part, but it's one of the really good parts, okay? I'm such a mom. I like all the parts and I have no favorite kids. You'll want to choose worldwide rights. It's going to ask you a question. You'll want to choose worldwide rights. That's so that everyone in the world can access your book. Then you'll choose a royalty rate. On Kindle, there's a whole lot of rates that will ask, like, how much will Kindle take from your book? If you plan to sell 500,000 copies, like one of the goals that we set earlier, you're going to want to be mindful of how Kindle takes royalties. There are a lot of other self-publishing places that don't take any royalties when you sell online with them. So be mindful of that. Tellwell is one of them. Discovering Diversity Publishing is one of them. That for us, the self-publishing process is very intimate. And so for us to take money from your book feels overwhelming. That being said, Amazon happens to be not a very expensive publishing space. So choosing your royalty rate is something for you to be mindful of. Remember, you paid for your editor. If you did pay for your formatting or your design, you're going to want to put that all together in terms of how much you charge for your book. Now, don't make a $45 book unless you have some really serious content in there. You know what? I'm not telling you what to do. Be mindful of your market and work with them. Remember, as you grow, they grow too. So remember that right now, if this is your first book, what you want to be doing is providing a space for them to really find you to be the person that they want to go to. If you're charging amounts that are fearful for other people, you won't attract as many people as you really want. That being said, do not charge $0. In the beginning with Kindle, to help you get more reviews, you'll probably have a process where you can upload your book and make it available for 99 cents or free, or for $1.99 for a set amount of days to attract more people to your work. That is cool. That is promotion. That is marketing. That is important. But afterwards, you're going to want to really choose how much you charge for your book. Remember to be mindful of yourself as a consumer, but also that you are not your best buyer. You are not your best person to buy your book. Other people are. So do some research. And when I say research, don't just use Google. Go out in the community and find out what people are paying for books. Go into independent bookstores, go into retail bookstores and large chains, and find out books like yours, how much do they typically go for? Are your rates competitive? Are you offering more or less than other people who have written books like you? Remember, you're creating a whole new world that is so exciting for other people. To access and get to know more about, because they don't know you yet. And if they do know you, that's exciting because you can use that as your tool to sell more books. Okay, so you've chosen your royalty, you've chosen your price. When you're publishing with any of these platforms, as in anything online, like I said, your keywords are critical. So if you happen to be writing about elephant migration in China, I don't know why, this is just a random thought, of course. You're going to want to keyword elephants, China, migration, movement of animals. You're going to want to get everything that captures people that are interested in the movements of elephants through China. You want to capture everything that people are interested in so that when they're going on their social sites or anything online, it will give you an opportunity to pop out to them. Now, guys, remember how you have those goals? I'm such a mom. I'm not even sorry about it. I think that repetition is the key to most things. And if you've noticed through each of the sections of this webinar, I have reminded you about your goal because it is essential. What you want to do with your book will change everything about where it goes and what hands it lies in. Okay. So I just made eye contact with you. If you do, that was fun. I saw you, you saw me. Okay, good. Now you know that you have edited your book, content, and copy. You formatted it. You found yourself a super cool front cover, and you've even named your book something really interesting that will attract the people that need to be reading your book, and also some people who don't need to be reading it. Side note and tangent, family and friends will read your book, and they may or may not like it, and they're usually the most critical people of your book. That is okay. okay. They're going to have lots to say. But you have lots to say too. And if they've never written a book, you don't really need to worry too much about what they think. You just need to keep going. Okay? All right, I'm back. So you've found your front cover. You've designed your front cover. You've put it all together. You've even got your spine ready. You have put it up on Kindle. You are ready to go. You're on fire. I'm so proud of you. And now it's time to start marketing. Okay. So all this time, if you remember, I've said to you, go on Facebook, ask little questions. What do people think about this? You've now done lots of research about where editors are, where designers are. There's different graphic designers. Who is going to do what? You've done your research. You've put out your feelers. Now you really want to start pushing your book more. Remember, all this time you've been building an audience. Hey guys, what do you think about this title? Hey guys, how long is too long for a fiction novel? Hey guys, and that is your way of connecting with people around the world and enticing them and what you have to say. Now, marketing is a really, really interesting process. And as most of us know, there tends to be millions of social media marketers. They're very important. Find yourself a good team. And if you don't have the money quite yet to find yourself a good team, be your own social media marketer. Social media is very important. If you're born in my generation or even before my generation, it might feel scary and weird and foreign to you. That's okay. Scary, foreign, and weird are okay. You end up eating that food, you end up trying those things. Try this. Try Facebook. Pick 2 platforms that really, really relate to you, that you can really relate with, that you can find people who are find you interesting and you find them interesting. There is Twitter, there is Facebook, there is Snapchat, there is Instagram, there is LinkedIn, and all types of others that you can join to start letting people know who you are. Okay, so we've all heard the term spamming. Or at least if you haven't heard the term, spamming means that you flood everyone's feed with all of your info. Hey, look at my book, buy my book, buy my book's so cool. Okay, let's do our best to avoid that. Now, if you've already done it, there's no shame. You tried something. Trying anything is important. But the next step I want you to take is let people know who you are. You've been asking questions. You've been showing that you're writing a book. You've been letting them know. You've been dropping little hints about when your release date is. Create some videos surrounding the information you talk about. Write a blog, do a vlog that is related to your book, but not entirely on your book. Let people know who you are. I don't mean put up only pictures of your kids and say, this is my kid and this is who I am. Remember, your intention is essential. If your goal is to sell 500,000 copies, that means you're going to want to relate to almost 500,000 people. How are you going to do that without being authentic? Being authentically yourself on social media will really make a big difference. So will Google ads and Facebook ads. Now, go slow with these. They will cost you money, but they're very, very helpful on these platforms, especially Facebook and Instagram. Don't use them right away. What you want to do right away is build yourself a group of people. In the social media world, we call them followers. I don't know, as a mom, that seems kind of offensive. I don't need people to really follow me, but what I do want is people to be actually interested in who I am. I want them to connect with me, and I want to connect with them also. So remember, you are utilizing your social media as a platform to connect with other people that you would not have connected with had you not have had this tool. When people comment on any of your work, make sure you respond to them. And don't make it cheesy. And don't make it something that isn't relatable. Actually try to have a conversation. It doesn't have to be long. And yes, it will take up your time. But you went through the content editing. That took a while. You also figured out how to format your book, and that took you a really long time. So you can certainly take the time to put together space where you can communicate with people from different parts of the world as it relates to you and your book. This is what is critical to marketing and actually the most fun of the whole process. Okay, so I would love for you guys, if anyone's interested, to put up in the comment box what their goals happen to be for their book. What is it that you're thinking of doing for the world? Is it that you want to show people more about trusting themselves? Is it that you want to create yourself a calling card that shows everyone that you're the greatest car salesman in the world? What is it that you want to do? I want to see your comments in the side, and also any questions that you might have. I know we've gone over quite a bit of material, so if there's any other information that you need from me, keep going. Okay, so now as you're doing that, this is the Sheena end of things. Um, Repetition is critical. And it does change everything for everyone, because we all know that the more we do something, the better we get at it. I'm going to say that again. The more we do something, the better we get at it. Your first book is kind of like your first baby. Your first baby, you coddle it and protect it, and you hold it and you never let it go, and nobody's allowed to touch it. You even give it a mask. In fact, my brother actually has like special baby earmuffs so that no sound affects his son. Your first baby is critically and wonderfully protected. I love that part. You're going to do that with your book. That is good. Protect your baby. Remember, though, that that baby's going to get older and it's going to mature, and as it does, so will you. So stay with the process. When you feel like putting the process down, when you feel like you're scared to nap when that baby naps, call us. Find us. Find us on social media. Reach out. There are people around this world that are actually interested in supporting you in this process. Self-publishing isn't super cute, because you end up finding things out about yourself that you didn't know. You didn't realize that you thought this way when it came to editing your book, and you didn't know that other people saw you that way either. That part feels funny, but that's okay. That's where you're learning. This is the whole point of you writing your book. It may not be your goal, but the point, the big, big, big point, is that you are learning something too. And while you learn, you share with others. Also, something cool to share with others as it relates to your process of writing a book. Okay, remarketing. What have you a better return on investment? Facebook ads or Google ads? Good question. It really depends on how, thanks Black Sun for asking that. It really, really depends on how you utilize them and where you put most of your attention to in terms of social media marketing. It also depends on your key, flipping autocorrect. I know, it does it to me too. It's okay. I think I know that I understand what you're saying. So that part, it really, really depends on you and how you utilize that, Google ads or Facebook ads. I do think that Facebook ads are really important. But remember, not everyone in your audience is actually on Facebook. A lot of your audience is, but some of them are not. And most of the world goes to Google. So you'll want to be strategic and mindful when and how you use them both. I can't give you a direct, like, this one is definitely better, because it really depends on how you utilize it. Certainly find yourself a marketer and have a consultation, have a conversation. If you're not ready to hire a marketing team, at least have a conversation that will put you in the direction with how many followers you happen to have on Facebook and how many people you're actually engaging with before you start to invest in those things. Okay, Abby says, I want to entertain my audience while giving people a perspective they may not have been exposed to in their life journey. I love that. Abby, can you tell me a little bit more, actually? I have goosebumps, so I want to know a little bit more about what you mean there. So you see, so Abby, I'm just gonna wait for your response for a second. But Abby, I love that part because yes, I mean, okay. So by entertain, do you mean do you want us to be laughing? Do you mean like when I watch Being Mary Jane, I'm going to like cuddle up with my blanket and feel nice and cozy? Do you mean like when I read The Alchemist, that I like can't wait every night to read it with my kids and like create those things in our mind and be entertained that way? This is the thing about goals. See, we get to pull them apart and be nice and succinct with them so that we can actually continue to provide people with what they're looking for and what we want to be giving them. It is, for me, the absolute best part of the process to actually engage with other people. When I write my stories, I find it I find it super fun to know that like other moms enjoy my stories, maybe more than the kids do, because kids, you know, they move on and on really quickly. But I love engaging with other moms and seeing what makes them feel entertained. Um, Also, Abby, I'm hoping you mean funny, because I love funny things and I love written funny things. They change everything for people, and we actually get to laugh out loud. So our LOL moments are really real life. So much fun. I didn't mention this earlier, but when you are in an editing process, don't be afraid to utilize acronyms and social media terms like LOL and like onomatopoeias like Kelvin just used. Grr. That's an onomatopoeia. It's simply letters that put together a sound that we make in our language. They are so critical and they make a world of difference to people when they're engaging in your literature. It's so much fun because when you actually get to engage with someone on a real level, when you feel like you got to know your author, when you feel like, remember, your Facebook posts tend to not take longer than about 30 seconds to read. If it took you 30 seconds, you're probably not going to read the whole thing. Your book needs to engage people on a level where you can actually contend with Facebook posts and getting people to read. There are avid readers out there. That's fantastic. But they're not your only audience. You also want to grab those people. Like Abby, it seems like you really want to grab those people who actually like want to be entertained. They may not even be big readers. They might not be big readers, but like really enjoy the way that you utilize language and punctuation and grammar and LOLs in your book. Even swear words sometimes, not all the time, not for kids' books, okay? Are there any other questions? We are sitting really close to time. I know I've talked your ear off, and I'm so grateful that you joined me for today. Thank you so much. Let me know if there's anything else that I can support you with, or anything that I might have missed for you. I'm just going to leave a couple seconds for you to type that in. That's okay. If no one has anything to say, I totally understand. It's tricky to engage in webinars and things like this. But if you happen to follow me on social media, um, engage with me, please. That part is really important to me. There's of course like 101 or maybe 1,000,001 people who do this sort of work. It's exciting. Oh, great webinar. Thanks, Calvin. I really appreciate you very much. If you're here and you don't know who Calvin is, he is Black Sun Comics. He is my favorite comic book writer and illustrator. I think that one of the things that Calvin does particularly well is engage with his readers. Your book gets to be what you want it to be, and you get to engage the people that you want to engage. And I think that's the part that Calvin, I particularly love about your book and a lot of things that I'm seeing in self-publishing now, is that people are saying what they want to say. It's so much fun. This is a different time. I'm up for time, but I really want to look one more time in your eyes and say thank you for joining me. And also say thank you for writing. What you have to say is going to change the world. And by world, I mean one person's paradigm at a time, the way they think, one person at a time. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to actually think about doing it. Thank you for taking the time to actually put it out there for other people to understand you and understand themselves better. You are extremely important, and I am so very grateful for all of your hard work. Find us, of course, at discoveringdiversitypublishing.com. Find us on Facebook, Discovering Diversity Publishing, on Instagram, Discovering Diversity, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Twitter. You can find us on all of these platforms. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to send us an email. We would love to answer them for you. Stay tuned, of course, for our Punctuation Thursdays. We have our Writing Tip Mondays. We have our live read for the kids on Wednesday evenings at 7:50 p.m. Thank you so much. I will leave a note on the website expanding on what I meant. Thank you, Abby. I would love to hear more. You can also send me something on Messenger personally. I would love to hear more about what you're thinking of. Um, it's been a blast. We are at time now, so I want to say peace and blessings. Enjoy your day. Take your time. When you feel like it's gotten really heavy, give me a shout or give someone a shout. Don't turn away. And if you do, don't turn away for too long. We need your work. Hey guys, peace and blessings. It has been an absolute honor. I will see you next time. Make sure you stay tuned for the last Thursday of every month, our Tell It series. You've got to come. It's a super blast. You will see more about it shortly. See you guys. Have a good day.